What if I told you that mastering one simple skill could be the difference between buying the next Amazon at $5 or buying the next Blockbuster right before it crashes? Everyone tells you to buy low, sell high, but nobody explains how to actually know when a stock is cheap or expensive. What's up, everyone? Today I'm breaking down the exact method I use to determine whether a stock is a bargain or a ripoff. This isn't some complex formula that requires a finance degree. It's a practical framework anyone working a 9 to 5 can use to make smarter investment decisions. Master this skill and you'll never again wonder if you're overpaying for a stock. You'll have the confidence to buy during market crashes when everyone else is panicking. And most importantly, you'll avoid those value traps that look cheap but are actually headed for disaster. Think of it like shopping for designer clothes. Some people pay full price at Nordstrom while others find the exact same item at TJ Maxx for 70% off. We're learning how to be the TJ Maxx shoppers of the stock market, except instead of saving $50 on jeans, we're potentially making thousands on our investments. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to tell if a stock is genuinely cheap or deceptively expensive. So let's dive in. When you're shopping for anything, from groceries to houses, you naturally compare prices. But with stocks, the price per share tells you almost nothing about value. A $10 stock isn't necessarily cheaper than a $100 stock, just like a $300,000 mansion in rural Montana isn't necessarily cheaper than a $700,000 condo in San Francisco when you consider what you're actually getting. This is where multiples come in. They're like the price per square foot of the stock market. The most common multiple is the PE ratio, or price to earnings ratio. Here's how it works. If a company earns $1 per share annually and the stock trades at $15, the PE ratio is 15. This means you're paying $15 for every $1 of current earnings. Think of the PE ratio as how many years it would take for the company's profits to equal your initial investment. A PE of 10 means it would take 10 years of profits to equal what you paid. It's like dating. You're not just looking at how attractive someone is, you're considering the whole package. Is this person's drama to good qualities ratio worth it? With stocks, we're calculating the price to value ratio. Now, there are two types of PE ratios: the trailing PE, which is based on the past 12 months of actual earnings, and the forward PE, based on projected earnings for the next 12 months. Forward PE is generally more useful because the market is forward-looking. Investors care more about future performance than past results. Here's where most new investors go wrong. They find a stock with a low PE and think it automatically makes a good deal. But a multiple by itself means almost nothing. You need context, which comes from 3 key comparisons. First, compare to the stock's own history. If Apple typically trades at a PE of 25 and suddenly it's at a PE of 15 with no fundamental changes to the business, that might signal an opportunity. Second, compare to industry peers. If most tech companies trade at a PE of 20 to 30 and you find one trading at 10, it's worth investigating why. It could be undervalued, or it could be facing serious problems. Third, compare to the broader market. The S&P 500's average PE ratio historically hovers around 15 to 16. In periods when the market PE is 25 and up, stocks are generally more expensive across the board. This is basically the stock market version of those house hunting shows where the couple compares 3 different properties. Instead of complaining about paint colors and kitchen countertops, we're evaluating business fundamentals. By the way, if you're finding it time-consuming to manually compare all these multiples across different platforms, I've recently been using market-io for my valuation research. Their stock comparison tool lets you see historical, peer, and market comparisons all on one screen, which has saved me hours of research time. But more on that later. PE is just one tool in our valuation toolkit. Different businesses are better evaluated with different metrics. So for price to sales ratio, it's for growing companies that aren't profitable yet. PE doesn't necessarily work. You can't divide by 0 or negative earnings. Instead, the price to sales ratio compares price to revenue. Amazon traded at high price to sales ratios for years before becoming profitable. If you had dismissed it for lacking earnings, you'd have missed one of history's greatest investments. Price to book ratio. This compares a stock's price to its book value, the assets minus its liabilities. It's especially useful for evaluating financial companies like banks. A price to book under 1.0 means you're theoretically paying less than the company would be worth if it liquidated all its assets today. Next is the PEG ratio, which is the price to earnings to growth. This adjusts the PE ratio for the company's growth rate. A stock with a PE of 30 might seem expensive, but if earnings are growing at 30% annually, the PEG ratio is 1.0, which many consider fair value. Trying to value a high-growth tech company using only price to book is like trying to evaluate a race car based on its cup holders. You're missing what actually matters for that particular vehicle. Different industries have specialized multiples. Real estate with its price to FFO, which is your funds from operations. Utilities where they use the EV to EBITDA, which is the enterprise value to the earnings before interests, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Subscription businesses uses the price per subscriber. The key is using the right tool for the specific business you're evaluating. Now for the most important part, avoiding value traps. Stocks that appear cheap but are actually headed for trouble. Warning sign number 1 is declining business fundamentals. A stock might have a low PE because investors expect earnings to fall. Look for declining revenue, shrinking profit margins, or increasing competition. Remember Blockbuster? It probably looked cheap on a PE basis right before Netflix destroyed its business model. Warning sign number 2, which is excessive debt. A company might trade at a low multiple because it has massive debt burden. Check the debt to equity ratio and make sure the company can comfortably meet its obligations. Warning sign number 3, industry disruption. Newspapers, traditional retail, and taxi companies all faced disruption that made them look temporarily cheap before their businesses deteriorated further. Value traps are those 50% off items that have been sitting in the clearance section for months. There's usually a reason nobody wants them, and it's not because everyone missed a great deal. Remember Warren Buffett's wisdom: quality first, price second. A truly great business at a fair price is better than a mediocre business at a discount. So let's put this all together with a practical framework you can use tonight. Step 1. Identify companies you understand and believe have a long-term potential. Don't start with valuation, start with quality businesses you'd be happy to own. Step 2. Look up the relevant multiples. Find the PE, the price to sales, the price to book, and industry-specific multiples. Most brokerage platforms and financial websites display these prominently. This is where I found MarketDash.io particularly useful. Their valuation dashboard consolidates all these metrics in one place and color codes them based on historical and peer comparisons. Green means undervalued, red means overvalued. It's incredibly intuitive. In step 3, compare to the 3 benchmarks. The historical, is it cheaper or more expensive than its 5-year average? Its peers, how does it compare to similar companies? And the market, how does it compare to the broader market? And step number 4, check for value trap warning signs. Is revenue growing? Are profit margins stable or improving? Is the debt level manageable? Is the industry facing disruption? MarketDash actually has a value trap detector feature that automatically flags these warning signs for you. It saved me from several bad investments where the numbers looked good on the surface, but fundamental problems were lurking beneath. Make your decision if a quality company is trading at a multiple below its historical average and peer group without any fundamental problems. It might be a genuine bargain. Let me give you an example from my own portfolio using MarketDash's analysis. I noticed that Microsoft was trading at a forward PE 15% below its 5-year average while maintaining strong revenue growth and expanding margins. The platform flagged it as potentially undervalued. I bought in, and it's up over 20% since then. Becoming good at valuation is like developing a superpower. You start seeing opportunities everywhere that others miss. It's the investment equivalent of being the only person who notices the buy one get one free sign in the grocery store. Knowing how to determine if a stock is cheap or expensive won't guarantee investing success, but it dramatically tilts the odds in your favor. You'll avoid overpaying during euphoric markets and have the confidence to buy during panics. Remember these key points. Price alone means nothing. Always use multiples. Comparisons provide context. Use the historical, the peer, and the market. Different businesses require different valuation metrics. Beware of value traps. Cheap isn't always good. Quality first, price second. I recommend practicing this framework on 3 to 5 stocks you're familiar with. Look up their multiples, compare them to the history and peers, and see if your initial impression changes. If you want to try the tools I mentioned, MarketDash.io offers a free 7-day trial that gives you access to all the valuation features. I genuinely find the platform helpful for implementing everything we discussed today. The link is in the description if you're interested. If you found this valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe for more practical investing content. Drop a comment below with a stock you think might be undervalued using these metrics. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.